I think I know the clip you're referring to. It was on CNN, and I want to talk to you about the media's role in this because CNN's coverage of the attempted assassination on Donald Trump was just appalling. But let's look at some of the comments afterwards. And I played that clip earlier where a CNN host freaked out at the concept that all avenues need to be investigated. Let's just play a little bit more.
As a military member, one of the things that we do is we what if scenario everything in the world, right? That's how
I know,
we
I don't know. I'm just saying,
when
if
I
it's
look at
the what if that you talk about maybe in an investigation, and the what if that you are presenting on live television. I don't know. It's just
so listen. I'm a public official.
Yes.
Anything that I do, anything that I say in the public. I don't try and hide it in private. I think that the American people need transparency, accountability, and accessibility to the elected officials, not to try and hide behind what we want to look at. And I also think that if the American people know that we're questioning these things as well, it puts them at rest to at least know, why aren't they at least looking into this? Why? We should look at every single situation which is of this significance. We should look at it from multiple angles to ensure that nothing is left out, nothing could be potentially claimed as being covered up. Yeah. We need to have more transparency to the American people, and I think that's what everyone deserves.
Brad, what's your reaction to this?
Well, it's really quite something to watch this CNN host freak out and try to shut down her guest, who, let's be clear, is not some random talking head like me, right? This is Corey Mills, who was a former sniper in the military who worked on security details for VIPs, including the vice president some years ago. So this guy knows what he's talking about. And he's saying that the strategic failing is so extreme and so glaring and so shocking that an investigation should at least consider all the possibilities, including some degree of intentionality. Obviously, there's no evidence of that now. Obviously, we don't want to jump to conspiracy theories. Obviously, things that can be explained through incompetence, usually that's the explanation rather than something complex and sinister and conspiratorial. But all he's saying is we should investigate every avenue and every possibility. And they're like, oh, no, you can't say that. Meanwhile, the same network spewed conspiracy theories about Donald Trump and Russia for years.
Absolutely.
No regrets and very few corrections. But and he's not engaging in a conspiracy theory, right? He's not saying, yes, this is a setup, this was staged, or this was intentional, or anything like that. No conspiracy. He's just saying we should investigate every possibility. To me, I'm a person who never leaps to, the most extreme conclusions or the conspiracies, but I at least want all avenues explored when
100%.
We're talking about one of the biggest security failures I've ever seen. Why wouldn't you want everything investigated? Because now you can never say never. We live in a crazy time. We've seen crazy things, and there's not a 0% chance. Obviously, we have no evidence. We don't want to get ahead of the facts, but why would anyone who's a journalist be opposed to simply investigating all avenues and all possibilities? To me, that just seems like common sense.
Yeah, you think so. There doesn't appear to be a lot of common sense at CNN. But finally, Brad, I could talk to you for hours. It's been confirmed that US President Joe Biden has COVID-19. He's tested positive. Let's look at Joe Biden's interview. The first one that he gave after Donald Trump was almost murdered on stage, and just see if you can make sense of what he's saying.
If you were to continue to run and be officially nominated, what happens if you have another episode like we saw during the debate?
What happens if another?
Yeah, what happens if you have another performance on that level?
I don't plan on having another performance on that level.
All right.
Did you get that? Is it clear?
Look, I've seen that clip about 10 times, and I still have no idea what the word in his first answer was supposed to be. But wow, just wow. I mean, this guy is he's not reassuring us at all. He continues to make gaffes and missteps every single time he opens his mouth or is recorded anywhere. And if you're going out there and you're trying to convince us that this guy is A-OK, sharp as a tack, can totally handle the nuclear codes, then you've just drunk the Kool-Aid. You are sunk into delusion beyond repair. I don't know how many times people need to see Biden slur his words or call out to dead people before they wake up and smell the roses. If Democrats had any clue, if they wanted any hope of avoiding Trump being the next president, which you'd think as Democrats would be their main objective, they would get this guy out of the race. They would convince him to step aside, and they would put up literally anyone else. But they've put themselves in a real bind by picking Kamala Harris, who's also not very popular, as his vice president. And Biden, I think, has a bit of a God complex. I've said this before. He thinks he's the only one who can save America from Trump or something ridiculous. And I don't see him giving it up. So you can expect, like, look, nobody ages backwards. He's only going to get worse. So even between now and November, you can expect more of this, and honestly, for it to continue to get worse. And then imagine over the next 4 years, if he were reelected, which looks unlikely, but if he were, how much more he would decline. I mean, by the end of it, I think that he would just be totally incoherent 100% of the time, instead of just, 50% of the time, or wherever he's at now. It can always get worse. Never forget it.
Absolutely. Brad Polumbo, so great to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.